Over the past few days, the state of Israel, and I think the Jewish people outside of Israel as well, have been absolutely immersed in Barack Obama's visit to Israel, long-awaited visit to Israel. And in terms of the anticipation ahead of his visit, I can describe it as no less than the excitement of the Apollo re-entering the Earth's orbit after a long mission in outer space. That was the anticipation which the media gave, the attention which the media gave to President Barack Obama's landing in Israel on Wednesday afternoon at 12:18 exactly, and the ceremony that took place thereafter. Here's the picture when he first landed in Israel, stepped off the airplane. Notice he's wearing a blue tie. Has a big smile on his face. The TVs and radios all broadcast. The Israeli Army band played the Star-Spangled Banner, the national anthem, followed by Hatikva. And then there were the speeches, of course, the warm welcome and the embraces by Shimon Peres, the president of Israel, and Benjamin Netanyahu. And when Obama spoke, he absolutely melted the hearts of the Israeli people from the very beginning. And there had been a lot of kind of negative, hostile feelings towards Obama on the part of Israelis, because going back a few years already, there was some bad blood between him and Netanyahu. There was an incident in France about a year and a half ago where Obama was visiting France and Sarkozy. They had the microphone turned on and they were kind of bad-mouthing Netanyahu. They made a few comments that weren't so nice. Oh, I have to work with this person, you know, he's stubborn, and got back to Netanyahu. There were allegations that Netanyahu was supporting Romney in the elections. I don't know how much truth there was to that, but there were allegations. There was the incident a couple years ago where Netanyahu was in Washington for the AIPAC conference and was supposed to get a meeting at the White House, and Obama gave him the cold shoulder. So there were kind of a lot of hard feelings between the two leaders, and also in terms of Obama's position regarding Israel in general, because he had made references to Israel having to go back to the 67 borders in order to have a peace agreement with the Palestinians, and it rubbed a lot of Israelis the wrong way. So from the time he stepped off the plane, a part of this visit was to really win back the hearts of the Israeli people. And he did it by his charisma and speaking Hebrew, which is absolutely phenomenal. I never remember a president visiting Israel and speaking in Hebrew as Obama did. The first Hebrew phrase that came out of his mouth was, he said, "Since this is my third visit to Israel, and first time as the president in Israel," he said, "I have one thing to say. Tov lihiyot shuv ba'aretz." It's good to be back in Israel again. And he said the sentence in very beautiful Hebrew. He didn't even have much of an accent. And I wonder how many times he went over it. The next stop on the visit was the Iron Dome. These are the Iron Dome, the anti-missile defense system that they launched when we had in November. We had the campaign in Gaza where the Hamas regime was launching hundreds upon hundreds of missiles into Israel every day. There were about 100 missiles, and this was the missile defense, Iron Dome defense system. The technology was developed in Israel. A lot of the funding came from America. And it was highly successful beyond anyone's wildest imagination in intercepting missiles that were launched in Israeli cities. There were missiles that were launched at Tel Aviv and intercepted successfully. It's not 100% because they were clever in terms of launching 10 missiles at a time, and it would get 6 of them. So it was pretty good beyond anyone's imagination, and that was the first stop on Obama's visit. Perhaps the highlight of the trip, though, was really, a lot of people say, okay, it's a political move. Let me go back to the airport. One more incident at the airport, which this is absolutely phenomenal. He's walking down the runway at the airport, and this may have been planned ahead of time. Notice, by the way, Obama and Netanyahu are both wearing blue ties. See that? I don't think that's an accident. I think that was probably planned. But they're walking down the tarmac at Ben Gurion Airport after the ceremony and everything, and Obama says, it was on microphone, he says, "I'm hot." It was hot, you know, in Israel. He takes off his jacket, he puts it on his left shoulder, and a few seconds later, Netanyahu says, he does the same thing. He takes off his jacket, and you have Obama and Netanyahu walking with the jackets on their back as if they're best friends. They're also on a first-name basis. About a week before Obama's visit to Israel, he referred to Netanyahu as Bibi in an interview. He said Bibi. So after the welcoming ceremony at Ben Gurion Airport, in Netanyahu's speech, Netanyahu said Barak. which was very strange to hear because you usually don't hear people refer to the American president by their first name. But the impression they get in the media, the cameras and everything is that they're on a first name basis. They're friends. They're best of friends now. Okay, this could be political. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's all political. Get over it. You know, come on." Well, yesterday Obama visited Ramallah. He met with Abu Mazen, the head of the Palestinian Authority, the leader. And Obama's position before was, in order to have negotiations between the Israelis and Palestinians, the Israelis must put a freeze on settlement activity in the West Bank in order to have conditions that are conducive to negotiations. That was actually Obama's condition. And of course the Palestinians said, of course, that's our condition. That was a big mistake for Obama because there was a settlement freeze for a year and a half. There were no negotiations. It didn't happen. And I think Obama realized his mistake. So yesterday, after he met with Abu Mazen, and by the way, when he met with Abu Mazen, of course, he also got a red carpet treatment as well, and the welcome, and the hugs and everything. But he didn't speak Arabic, I don't think. And if people say, well, this is Barack Hussein Obama, he's really closer to the Arabs, and he really doesn't care about the Israelis, he's a Muslim, da-da-da. People have all kinds of conspiracy theories about Barack Obama, fine. But why wouldn't he have tried to win over the hearts of the Palestinian people by speaking in Arabic? The contrary. There was a press conference after he met Abu Mazen, and one of the journalists asked him, did you tell Netanyahu about the need to have a freeze in settlements in order to get back to negotiations? And Obama's answer was unequivocal. He said that if we want to restart the negotiations and have a chance for a peace process to work, we cannot have preconditions. The problem is if you try to solve the problem before you even get to the table, you're never going to get to the table. That, my friends, is Bibi Netanyahu's position. He has always said from the beginning, if Abu Mazen wants peace negotiations, he is invited any time to come to Jerusalem, or I'll go to Ramallah. No preconditions. In other words, don't say we have to stop building, and then once we stop building, then we have pre-negotiations, because that's giving the solution already to the problem. He says, first let's get together and negotiate peace. I don't know what more you could expect of Obama. He is stating Netanyahu's position. Now, when it comes to settlements, the American administrations have never been a fan of the settlements, and he did say that it's not conducive to peace, and he told Netanyahu, that's fine. I don't expect Netanyahu to be a leader of the Gush Emunim, the settlement movement, and say, yeah, settlements are wonderful, they're great. But that's fine, but he's Netanyahu's position. I don't know what more we can expect of him. He's going to Ramallah, and he's saying, this is Bibi Netanyahu's position. Let's start negotiations, and then we'll come to a solution. Of course, Netanyahu, in the Bar Ilan talk, going back to his first administration in 2009, said 2 states for 2 people. That was his position. So that's Obama's position as well. He stated 2 states for 2 people, and Netanyahu also stated that as well. Now, this picture is Shimon Peres, the president of Israel, making l'chaim. There's a great deal of friendship and common kind of, they're cut from the same spectrum, political spectrum, ideology. Shimon Peres is the president of Israel. He's 89 years old. He has so much energy. He's incredible. Obama said to him, what's the secret? He said, I need to talk to your doctor. What's the secret? How do you stay in such good shape? And he made l'chaim, and he said l'chaim. So again, he's dropping Hebrew phrases. Shimon Peres was the head of the Labor Party. He's always been a supporter of the peace process, 2-state negotiation with Palestinians. He's the president of Israel, which is somewhat of a figurehead position. He does have a certain amount of power in terms of shaping a certain ideology, and in terms of when the government is formed, the coalition, they report to the president, but it's more a kind of a position of honor in Israel. And he made a l'chaim. Now, the speech yesterday was also the highlight, and that was the highlight of this newspaper. There were a certain number of Israeli students who were invited to his speech. And it was an extremely pro-Israel speech by all accounts. Even the right-wingers who are against a 2-state solution and against the Palestinian state, you can't say anything bad about his pro-Israel. And he dropped Hebrew phrases. Atem lo levad. You are not alone. He said that in Hebrew. And when you hear that in Hebrew, it has a certain emotional effect on most Israelis. You are not alone. Before that, he said, let me make one thing clear. The people who come from the ideology of denying the existence of the state of Israel, which between the two of us, that's most of the Arab world, he said they might as well deny the earth on which they stand and the sky that's above them. As long as the United States is here, atem lo levad, you were not alone. And of course there was enormous applause and everything after. Now, the reactions are somewhat mixed, I must admit. although people are mesmerized by the honor, and Shimon Peres bestowed upon him a badge of honor, and he visited all of the places, and Yad Vashem, and the Holocaust Memorial, and made all of the right comments, and talked about the descendants of Abraham and Sarah, and he sounded like a diehard Zionist, the Jewish people rebuilding their homeland after a long exile, and he said all of the right things. But behind it, interestingly enough, some journalists point out, well, what happened behind closed doors? Because when it comes down to it, it's really about Iran and Syria, and that's what they call Perek Bet, Part 2 in Hebrew. Once you get beyond the handshakes and the emotions and everything. By the way, he planted a tree also, I have to point out. He said this tree was planted for the new relations. In Israel, it's a big thing to plant trees. We plant trees in honor of the deceased. But beyond that, okay. So this is what this says. That's fine. He comes to Israel, he mesmerizes everyone, he melts the hearts, he speaks in Hebrew and everything. But now what? Now where do we go from here? Because the three big issues, the Palestinians, Iran and Syria, well, they're still open, they're still on the table. And there are those who say, you know what, this is all for a reason. It's not for nothing. He's trying to soften the hearts of the Israelis because he wants Israel to hold back from Iran, for example, from attacking Iran. Regarding Iran, he said, on one hand, he would never expect another country to put their security in the hands of another country. And Netanyahu said clearly, even our greatest friend, the United States, we can't put Israel's security in American hands. But on the other hand, Obama said that he is dedicated to making sure that Iran will not become nuclear. So if you really believe Obama, why would Israel need to get involved in Iran? So there are somewhat contradictory messages that are given. But all in all, a very emotional visit, very exciting, and a lot more to be said. We'll have to see what happens in the following days.